The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of this radio station, its management, or its sponsors. Listeners are urged to use their own discernment to draw their own conclusions.
Welcome back into Rise and Shine Mornings right here on a cool, cold morning. You're listening to Ryan O'Neill and
Andrah Polanis.
32 degrees. Good morning to you.
Good morning. This is the hour of power. This is where we take a little time to read the Bible.
We don't just read the Bible. We read the Bible. You took too long.
Well, whatever. But we like to talk about some little details, that kind of jump out at you when you're reading the Bible. And most people just kind of overlook it, or they just get conditioned to a certain interpretation that everybody agrees with, and they never really look deeper into anything else it could mean, or any way that you could take the concept or the principles of the idea and glean something like that, where you can make it applicable to understanding yourself, other people, but mostly understanding God. If I just wanted to know me, I could have just went over there and got on Dr. Boynton's sofa, and he could help me understand myself. If I wanted to understand other people, then I could go to school to be a psychologist. I love psychologists. The good ones are all really cool and very, very enlightening. And I definitely recommend, if you're trying to get somewhere in life, therapy is a good thing to do. It's not just for people who are mentally ill. Therapists help people with all kinds of things. But when I really wanted to know God, and when I wanted to know more about our King, our resurrected King, our living King, I had to turn to the Bible, which was pretty much the only source that I knew of. The only one that I felt like I could trust. And I used the stories in the Bible to understand the Lord, understand how he thinks, get in his head. It's kind of like looking at his Facebook page. And we're going to kind of go to the Song of Solomon today. And I just want to let everybody know before Ryan does his devotion, the Song of Solomon is where we got the idea for Facebook. Because if you're reading the Song of Solomon, if you notice, he posts something, and then she posts something, and then their friends are commenting, notice, under their posts. So this is kind of where I believe they got the idea for social media. But nevertheless, Ryan has a daily devotion What do you have for us today, Ryan?
Coming from Jesus Calling, Enjoying Peace in His Presence, 365 Daily Devotion with Sarah Young. This is what we got going on here. She is combining Psalms 46:1, Romans 12:12, and Romans 15:13. And this is what she says God is saying. Softly, I announce my presence. Though I have all the power in heaven and on earth, I am tender, definitely tender with you. The weaker you are, the more gentle I approach you. Let your weakness be adored in my presence. Whenever you feel not so up in the world, remember that I am your ever-present help. Hope in me, and you will be protected from depression and self-pity. Hope is like a golden cord connecting you to heaven. The more you cling to this cord, the more I bear the weights of your burdens. Thus you are lightened. Clench to hope, and my rays of light will reach through your darkness. So God is saying, reach up for him, reach out for him.
Well, we're going to be in Song of Solomon today, chapter 5. And I am going to try my best to articulate verbally what I feel that the Lord wants me to share. And this is something that I found in the Bible that also corresponds with my own personal experiences since walking with the Lord and my own personal experiences in life. And, you know, this is about a couple who they're so much in love and they're about to be married. And they're, you know, it's like I said, it's like they're posting things on each other's Facebook. And then their friends are commenting. And, you know, we've got a lot of controversy going on right now about women's rights and how women are treated and how women are thought of, and just the whole male attitude towards women in general. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold all the commentary until the end, because this is going to be something that I really need to concentrate, because I want to say this properly. Because, you know, although I do believe personally that women should be treated better, I don't feel like, or nor do I believe, that the way to get respect from the opposite sex is to, you know, disrespect the opposite sex or dominate. Or I get it, you know, I know why some women are like that. Like they go through so much to get to where they are, and then they get to where they are and they remember all the men that made it hard for them, or that they might have had to sleep with. You know, well, if I hadn't slept with this guy, you know, I would have never been here. Or I had to put up with being thought of as a sex object in order to get to be successful. In my personal experience, I've seen that. I've seen all kinds of stuff that you just wouldn't believe. And I don't really have the time to get into everything I've seen in my personal life. What I want to do is I want to talk about the stories in the Bible. I want to talk about two people. I'm going to talk, first we're going to Song of Solomon chapter 5, and we're going to talk about how women can sometimes be misunderstood and why they're misunderstood. And sometimes a woman can be misunderstood, and it's an honest mistake on behalf of the opposite sex. Sometimes it's not. You've got to understand that men have mostly had all the control in the world, and defining and naming and telling us what we've got to be. And even in the church, we've had women think about it, ladies. I mean, there probably wouldn't even be a church if it hadn't have been for some of us, because a lot of us, I mean, I know 2 or 3 generations back, it was really common for the woman to get up and go off to church every Sunday with the kids while the husband stayed home. You know, and women have really been the backbone of the body of Christ in a lot of ways. But when it comes to leadership, we have been restricted. We've been held back. I mean, I've used Catherine Kuhlman, for example. She was a female evangelist who packed out arenas And around about the same time, Jimmy Swaggart and Oral Roberts and Billy Graham and all them were out, but hardly anybody ever knew who she was. And all this was going on about the same time Hugh Hefner was putting Playboy out. Playboy just kind of got pushed up in our face, but they hid Catherine Kuhlman from us. And Beth Moore heard her tell stories about how she was treated by male preachers, people in her same, profession. And it's just absolutely inexcusable, and it's absolutely uncalled for. And while we have the devil down, right, like we've knocked him down, he's flat on his back, right? So now it's time to go in for the kill. So while we have him down, we're just going to go ahead and go in for the kill today. All right, guys and girls, let's do this. All right, so we're going to talk about Hannah, who is in 1 Samuel, the very first chapter. And I taught this to my kids. I mean, I taught my children the Bible when they were coming up. My kids could preach, pray, and sing. And actually, we had our own church services at home a lot with the karaoke machine. And we would take turns. You preach today, you pray today, kind of thing. But anyway, I'm going to read this, and I'm going to kind of give you a real-life example to explain what this means. Okay. And he's talking, and then the friends are commenting, and then she's talking. It's kind of goes something like that. And this is Song of Solomon, chapter 5. I have come into my garden, my sister, my bride. I have gathered my myrrh and my spice. I have eaten my honeycomb and my honey. I have drunk my wine and my milk. Okay, that's him. All right, now these are the friends. That was his post. Okay, here come the friends commenting. Eat, O friends, and drink. Drink your fill, O lovers. And now here she comes. I slept, but my heart was awake. Listen, my lover is knocking. And she's quoting him. Open to me, my sister, my darling, my dove, my flawless one. My head is drenched with dew, my hair with the dampness of the night. And this is her speaking in her words. I have taken off my robe. Must I put it on again? I have washed my feet. Must I soil them again? My lover thrusts his hand through the latched opening. My heart began to pound for him. See, this whole story is about her looking for him. They're betrothed, and he's this big, big deal, and she's just kind of lucky enough to get to be his wife. And she's been, kind of prepared for this all of her life, and now it's really, really close. Like, she's been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Did I say she was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting? And just, to infinity out there. Okay. And now the time has come, right? So she's so close, but still so far away, right? Like, he's right on the other side of the door, and the door is opened. She can, see him, okay? She knows who he is. And she says, I arose to open for my lover, and my hands dripped with myrrh, my fingers with flowing myrrh on the handles of the lock. I opened for my lover, but my lover had left. He was gone. My heart sank at his departure. Now, ladies, what would you do? I looked for him, but did not find him. I called him, but he did not answer. The watchmen found me as they made their rounds in the city. They beat me. They bruised me. They took away my cloak. The watchmen of the walls. O daughters of Jerusalem, I charge you, if you find my lover, what will you tell him? Tell him, I am faint with love. All right? And it kind of goes on. It's a beautiful, beautiful letter here. Now, what happened between this woman and these watchmen? Fasten your seatbelts. When I was living out in Las Vegas, and it's kind of common around here, but not as common as it is out there. Whenever you're out in Las Vegas, Sin City, whatever you want to call the place, Satan's headquarters, there would be many times that my husband and I would, pull up at a store or go shopping or something, and we would notice these women that would be out in the parking lot. Beautiful young girls, pretty girls, would come up and act like they needed help. Like, can you help me, please? I need some gas money. I can't get home, And see, now, a lot of times people think prostitution's legal in Las Vegas. Now, it's legal in some parts of Clark County, but in the city of Las Vegas, it's not. But the Strip's not actually in the city limits. Like, one street's the city limits, one street's not the city limits. That's how they get away with prostitution, okay? It's like they just have little sections, right? But it's all blended and woven in there together, and it's really not enforced. But when you're in a place where, like, let's say here in Newnan, Georgia, prostitution, this kind of thing probably might happen very rarely around here. But see, it's illegal, so this is like a way to prostitute without, in case the person you're approaching is a cop or something, But what these girls would do is they would sit out there and they would act like they needed help or something was wrong with them, right? And really all they were wanting was for some guy to pick them up. And then when some guy picked them up or something, then that's when, it would go on like that until it got into, okay, here's a proposition. So it wasn't like she didn't really need help, okay? It was like she was really offering to help you for a price, if you know what I mean, okay? Now, I didn't know that was what these women were doing because I don't know anything about all of that. My idea of a prostitute is somebody standing on Sunset Boulevard, half naked, walking up to you.
And that happened out in Hollywood.
Honey? Now, they do. I'm just saying, you need a date tonight. Now, I didn't know that this was like a way to do it. Now, men know this. Men know this, ladies. And see, Ryan had to explain it to me. That this is what these girls do. And see, around here, I've kind of noticed it a little bit around here once or twice, but not, it's all day long, every day out in Las Vegas or Sin City or whatever you want to call that place, hell. And they don't, around here, they just sit out in the parking lots at places and they look for men to talk to that look like they're alone. They see a woman, if I pop my head up, they're walking towards Ryan, I pop my head up, they turn around. They see me. Out in Las Vegas, because of the sexual immorality has no limits out there, they approach couples, you can literally have any kind of sin, sex you want out there. And it's a common thing for, I guess, couples to hire these prostitutes. But I didn't know. And Ryan had to, being a man. Now, if men know this and women don't, now think about this woman in this story, okay? These watchmen see her running around in her robe and her bedclothes, and they, being the men that they are, mistook her for a prostitute. I'm sure, I guess. She's out there in her night clothes, running around, asking for help. And see, she didn't know. She's a good girl. She didn't, I'm sure she'd been, sheltered all her life. She's probably never had to sell her body for money. A woman like this knows how to work and make her own money, or she just goes to her daddy and says, hey, I need some money, Dad. But she doesn't know what women are like this are doing. And this is why I say, if a woman is accusing a man of sexual harassment or rape or something, it needs to be the truth, because this is the reason why good women who are being abused by a man oftentimes have to go to another man for help. And if you're being abused by a man, and you got to go to another man for help, the man abusing you is not going to admit he's abusing you. And it's kind of embarrassing. So it's not like, and this is why I know some of these women that come out and just blurt out stuff going on in their lives that some of them's got to be lying, because I've been through this. It's embarrassing. Sometimes when you're looking for somebody for help, and women, you know we're bad about this. We don't stick together. We hurt each other worse. I mean, you can blame men for holding you back, but honestly, women do more to hurt other women. And this is where I'm kind of going with this, because if it wasn't for women like this woman in this story wouldn't have been treated this way. If it wasn't for other women who just are too lazy to get off their butt and go get a real job. They want to lay on their back for a living. I don't want to hear any sad stories. If I can get up and go to work, you can too. You can too. Now, but the guy who's abusing you is not going to own up to it. Oh, yeah, I'm abusing her, yeah. No. He's going to save face. He's going to make you look like whatever he's got to do. It depends on what's going to work to manipulate people. If he needs to tell everybody you won't put out, I mean, because sometimes if men think you put out, they'll be glad to offer you some help, if it's true. But if they know you don't put out, and they know you're not that kind of woman, they know to hurt you, they know that's how to hurt you. Call you something you're not, or treat you like something you're not. And so when a woman's being abused by a man, and she has to go ask help from another man, why is it the man you go to ask help for, you go to him for help, he's sitting there wondering, are you wanting to sleep with him? Because you're not so sure how to ask for help. And it's even harder when it's a preacher. And because women, we're like this, ladies. When you're in an abusive situation, you don't know who you can trust. So you don't run right into somebody and start spilling your guts. You got to feel them out first. You got to see, is this, guy going to be somebody that he's the one working the office at in the church. He's the pastor, whatever. Is he going to take me seriously? And for some reason, men only see, their first instinct is something sexual when it comes to a woman. If something's wrong with you, or they think you're acting strange, they think you're acting weird, automatically their brain computes something sexual. Oh, I saw you talking to somebody. That's something sexual. Why are you being so nice? That's something sexual. You're acting inappropriately. That's something sexual. What am I doing that's inappropriate? What am I doing that's sexual? I said good morning. That's sexual? It's all about controlling you, okay? It's all about paralyzing you with the fear of ruining your reputation, ruining what you've worked all your life to build, taking away everything you love. Why? And this is kind of what happened here. But now, when we go over to Samuel, we're going to talk about a woman named Hannah who wanted a baby. And this was, polygamy was okay. And there's still some places today people think polygamy's okay. I don't think polygamy's okay by no stretch of the imagination. I will not tolerate polygamy. Now, if we're going to allow polygamy, and this is another problem I have with equality between men and women, okay, because there's some countries in this world where a man can have as many wives as he wants to.
That's the United States, too.
But a woman can get shot in the head just if her husband just says she committed adultery. It doesn't even have to be really real.
That's the United States,
too. It doesn't even have to be true. So if a man can have 3 wives, then women should be able to have 3 husbands. That's equal, right? That's fair. I mean, either we're going to do away with polygamy altogether, we're going to end it, okay? It's going to be we're not going to overlook it. We're not going to sweep it under the rug. We're not going to call it common law. It's going to end. Or we're going to equal the playing field.
Yes.
Ladies, you want more than one husband? That's, 3 paychecks, three different men, you know. Hey, had one for every night of the week. Except take Sunday for yourself.
I don't think a woman can handle it more than a man, but never mind.
When they get up into the 30s, they can. But Hannah wanted a baby so bad she could not have, and she went to church, right? And there was this guy in church named Eli. And I'll tell you about Eli. Eli was one of these crooked, he was one of these charlatan priests. He was just born a Levite. That's the only way he got this job, okay? Because of the family he was born into. His sons were sleeping around with women in the church, and he just ignored it. He overlooked it. He didn't even correct them, and God killed him for this, Eli and his sons. And, you know, that's another story for another time. But Hannah was married to this guy, and he had another wife, and she wanted a baby. And she made a deal with God. She was so upset because she wanted a baby. She went to church to pray, all right? She went to church to pray, and it said that Hannah wept. And this is in 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 9. Once they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh, Hannah stood up. Now Eli the priest was sitting on a chair by the doorpost of the Lord's temple. In bitterness of soul, Hannah wept much and prayed to the Lord. And she made a vow, saying, O Lord Almighty, if you will only look upon your servant's misery and remember me, and not forget your servant, but give her a son, then I will give him to the Lord for all his life. No razor will ever be used on his head. That's the Nazirite vow. Now, as she kept praying to the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. This is a backslidden preacher, Eli. He's got the title and the position, and that's about it. That's about all he's got. Hannah was praying in her heart, and her lips were moving, but her voice was not heard. Eli thought she was drunk and said to her, how long will you keep on getting drunk? Get rid of your wine. And look, I've read versions of this story where he accused her of being demon-possessed. Why is it men don't understand? And you want to try to, and here's another thing, these preachers today want to try to tell me that they can loose women. Like, there's this one preacher who's got this thing going, woman, thou art loosed. Woman, thou art loosed, so you mean to tell me you're a man, and you're going to try to tell me what I'm supposed to be? I think women need to loose women first. But the thing about it is I think once we get loosed and once we get this equality, we should honor our men. We should lift our men up and make like they're the best thing in this world because they're giving us this equality. If they're willing to change their mind and they're willing to say, you know, you're right, we haven't treated our daughters right, we haven't treated if they do that and say, you know, we really need to change our attitude, then I think that what we should do as women is honor them back for that. And just make like our men are just the best thing in the world. And see, a lot of us women do that, but we don't get that back in return. You know, if I want to go be a mechanic, if I want to be an underwater welder, I should have the opportunity to do that. I shouldn't have to go sit down in front of a man who's going to see if I'm going to try to sleep with him for an opportunity. Who's going to say, yeah, I'm going to help you out, and then you come back next week, then you come back next week, and then you come back next week, and they just keep putting you off because they're trying to wait to see if you're going to sleep with them. They're trying to see how far you'll go to get what you want. We shouldn't have to play those games. You shouldn't have to do anything like that to get anything you want. When there are women out here who can work, who will work for their position and earn it equally, earn it right out, okay, because I can do the job. Now, I can't help it if you're looking at me and you're thinking about sex because there's something wrong with you. Something's wrong with you when everywhere you go, and no matter what situation you find yourself in, shopping, work, whatever, pumping gas, I don't know, you're thinking about who you can sleep with. Sex is wonderful. Sex is great. I like it. That's how we all got here. But when that's all you think about, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, when you're off at shopping in the mall and you're looking around at all the women, that's an unhealthy obsession with sex. Sex has its place. It has this little compartment, and it's only supposed to be, you know, something you do with a certain person at a certain time. The rest of the time you're out here walking around, you're supposed to be in a different mindset. You're supposed to switch that off, and you're supposed to, if you're at work, you're supposed to be on work. Okay? That's not a female sitting across from you. That's a coworker. That's not a female you see at the mall. That's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's wife. That's a clerk.
Somebody's sister.
That's a cashier. Okay? That's not somebody for you to try to sleep with. And if you got to have that kind of attention to feel good about yourself, then you need help, because sex, your life is revolving around sex, and that is unhealthy. When your filter, when sex is causing you to interpret everything you see around you as something sexual, and you're in a position of leadership, and you see a woman doing something unusual, and your first thought is it's got to be something sexual, it's nothing wrong with her. There's something wrong with you. Unless she walks right up to you and just says, hey, you know, I'm a prostitute, pay me for money, or pay me for sex or whatever. I don't know. But see, when prostitution is something that you do on the sly, and you got all these code words, and you got, like, you know, these little things you do, like if you go up to Columbus on Victory Drive, you know a prostitute if you're holding money and you're moving your hand back and forth and her eyes follow the money. I mean, it's these little things that women, good women, we don't know anything about this, okay? We don't know anything about this. Men know all of this stuff. They do. They know all of this stuff.
They know it because of other people telling them. Men don't know it personally because they know it. They know it because they've run into other men that's done it. Because men talk among men.
Well,
that's what women don't understand.
And here we go, though. I mean, we got Eli, a backslidden preacher, with his sons sleeping around. And she says, no, not so, my Lord. Hannah replied, I am a woman who is deeply troubled. I have not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring out my soul to the Lord. Do not take your servant for a wicked woman. I have been praying here out of my great anguish of grief. Now, if I was her, bless her, bless her, bless her. Okay, this is Samuel's mom, and God bless her. But this is just her personality, because if this had been me, I would have gave him a dirty look and got up and walked off. Because I would have been wondering, like, what is wrong with you? You haven't seen very many drunk people, have you? Have you been around a lot of drunk women, Eli? You're a priest. I guess some of those women your sons are bringing into church, they picked them up in the bar last night. You know, I don't know. I would have just walked off. I wouldn't have told a guy like this anything about my problems. But see, that's where that's what gets me in trouble, because I would have walked off. I wouldn't have said anything to him, and then he would have went and spreaded it all around that I was drunk in church. And then I'd find myself defending myself everywhere I went, because I just let him think what he wanted to think, because I figured, well, you're supposed to know this stuff better than me. I mean, I'm in church where people are supposed to be when they're troubled and they need help. This is not a nightclub, even though some of y'all swing around in here like it is. Okay, I know some of y'all doing some wife swapping, and I mean, you got everything but the bar. You know, you call them ushers, but they're actually, you got your bouncers over there. This is, I think, the problem here for women. Because here's the thing, I'm gonna wrap this up so we can do the rest of the show. But see, women can get over being victimized. We can. Right, ladies? Because all of us have been through something. Men too. But you can get over it when you get justice. Right? Justice. It means when you go and somebody does something to you, and you go to and you tell who you're supposed to tell. You go through the proper process and procedure to the right person in authority, and you say, this was done to me, this was wrong, and they say, and they go, oh no, we can't have that, and they take corrective action to restore, to give you retribution for the wrong done to you. That is part of the healing process. That helps you to heal. When you get raped and the guy that raped you is put behind bars. When something's done to you and you have somebody you can go to for help and they help you, there's healing to that. But most of the time, we just don't even bother because we already know nothing's going to be done. They're going to get patted on the back. They're going to get promoted by other men. And that is what's wrong. If you really want to know why women are getting to the point where they're out for blood now and they're vicious, it's because you made us this way. Listen, I always say this. The one that made you is the one that can break you. If you created this problem, you can fix it. And I'm giving you all the information you need. If you want your women to make you proud, then just listen to me.
The question I have, what I wanted to know after all this, we got to get other things to do here in just a few moments. But this is quickly. We don't have but 10 minutes. The problem is we're basing this life and this attitude on what happened 10, 20 years ago. People are not all.
What's happening today?
Not everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not trying. Not everybody's doing it. I'm not. No. And there's other men out there.
Ladies, just don't. Ladies, just relax. Take some deep breaths. Let him get it off his chest. Go ahead, Ryan.
It's not going on 100% today by every freaking man. And the men that don't do it, we're tired of being abused because somebody happened in the 40s and the 50s did something. But that was a whole different day and time. And people were doing things different day and then. It's 2017. We're being told we have to accept this, and this. That's just completely wrong. We're having people out here that want to make want to make sure all our politicians have morals, but we don't want to have morals as a society. So, it's not going on 100%. Yes, the thing about it is, in this day and time, if things like that happen, if sexual harassment or anything like that happens, it's great that you can just go ahead and just make sure that person that did that's career is destroyed. I mean, you go in, they say, hey, you want a job here? You have to do sewing things. Guess what? You can have their career destroyed, and you get a job, and they lose their job. That's great, and I'm 100% behind that. I'm not one of these people that think that it's not right. That person worked so hard to get there. Well, they should have thought about that before they hit on somebody. But everybody's not like this. Let's do it.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you now in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, in accordance with your word, empowered by your Spirit. We lift up each and every one of these prayer requests. We ask you to go touch each and every one of these families, touch each and every one of these lives, God, and do what only you can do for them. We ask you to reveal the reality of your resurrected Son to the hearts and to the minds of every man, every woman, every boy, and every girl on this planet, and give them an opportunity to know your Son as not just their King and their Lord, but as their best friend. In Jesus' name, we decree and we declare it is done. Amen.
Amen.